Let's see. IWD said, now what conservatives need to do is strategic stock dumping in tandem with the on-the-ground stuff, pressure their place of employment to dump BlackRock and bank runs. ESG delando est. What do you think about that?
The sad reality is that all of you that are listening to the stream on replay or live, any of you that have stock portfolio, no, let's be specific, mutual funds,
yes,
retirement accounts, 401ks, pensions, every single one of you out there, especially the pension funds, any of you that have your money in these funds, and if those funds are controlled by one of these woke investment groups, including BlackRock or Vanguard, and it is your broker at your place of employment that has let them become the manager, then your money from your paycheck, present, future, and past, is providing all of the gunpowder that is fueling the destruction of society in general and American culture specifically, and certainly companies like Disney that are family friendly.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, like, you can have the best of intentions or just be trying to save, which is as is normal, as is your right. And they get absolutely, I
had a question the other day on a live stream, and someone said, well, Mike, someone asked me, why do I own Disney stock? Because I said, well, you know what? I've had it a long time, but I'm not below water yet.
Yet
I've had it a long time, but frankly, I like being a shareholder. I think it's better to, I get disclosures, I get to vote, even though my vote doesn't mean a lot. I like getting.
I want to pull up this 10Q and put it in context here, because this is actually, I found the 10Q and I want to put this in context, because this is an example of how important this is, right? This is in obviously a section where it's talking about legislation, right? And regulations applicable to our business may impair the profitability of our business. Luckily, we have a financial expert on now. Mike, does regulation just impact Disney? Are they the only company that's impacted by regulation?
No. No, that further supports your analysis, Andrew, as has been on many videos on this channel, that there's nothing special affecting Disney.
Yeah. I mean, oh my God, FCC regulation. Oh my God, we have to obey that like every other company. Oh my God, there's privacy laws and data laws and environmental protection, anti-corruption laws, so we can't fund terrorists. Oh man, oh gosh, golly, there's labor laws and tax controls and currency controls. So horrible, right? But I want to read this section because this is actually fascinating. I actually have to zoom out just to get it all, but we'll get it here. So, and I'm going to go to the middle here. So it says, in addition, ongoing and future developments in international political, trade, and security policy may lead to new regulations limiting trade and investment and disrupting our operations outside the U.S., including our international theme parks and our resort operations in France, mainland China, and Hong Kong. Who is talking about this, Valiant Renegade? Do I see articles talking about China and Hong Kong in their French parks? Have you seen those?
Yeah.
Okay, some, right, about China, right? Because China, I think there's been articles, but honestly, I haven't seen ones about France. That's actually very interesting. It's an interesting disclosure about France.
I mean, the fact of the matter is that frankly, Comcast has the same disclosures in their 10Qs. I mean, every company on the planet has disclosures like this. They're copy and paste. And for the judge to sort of say that this is unique to Disney is not only disingenuous, it's intellectually, it's intellectually bankrupt, frankly.
Yes, because look what they say here. They're like, India implemented regulation and tariffs regarding bundling of channels. That's right there. That's a whole sentence right there. The U.S. and other countries implemented a series of sanctions against Russia in response to Russia and Ukraine. That's another sentence right there. The U.S. state government has become more active in passing legislation targeted at specific sectors and companies. That's one right there. There's a whole sentence on the U.S. government. In many countries, regulators are requiring us to broadcast our linear programming produced in specific countries, as well as invest in specific amounts of our revenues in local content productions. That's like Canada. That's requiring you to reinvest in Canada. That's something as well. And then the last thing is, in Florida, steps directed at the company have been taken and future actions have been threatened, which could collectively negatively impact our ability to execute our business strategy and our profits and costs and profitability in Florida. There's just as much in there about Florida as India, Hong Kong, China, the EU, and the rest of the world. There's nothing in there that's special. Why would the judge reach in here, cherry pick that out, and then think, oh, this is especially going to hurt them because they put it in their 10Q? Speaking of a 10Q, let me bring in my certain favorite 10 curious person. That is Valiant Renegade.
You know, when you said 10Q, I got hard. There's that. And I also wanted to say, we finally have a little collage here tonight, as I've wanted to get to between, as Andrew so aptly put earlier, the Louisiana Kunas, code name for Valiant Renegade, and of course, Mexican Iron Man, code name Mexican Lawnmower. We're here. So this is
good to have. It's good to have you both in the house to be talking about this, because I feel insane sometimes going off on this, but I've always really felt, and I think this is really what it is.
I want to compliment you, Andrew. You have not even average. You have a superior knowledge of financial matters for any attorney that I have ever interacted with. It is
agreed.
It is so refreshing, because I have dealt with so many attorneys in so many ways, and you know that early in my career I did municipal government budget work. You cannot believe the yo-yos that we had coming in and out of there. So ladies and gentlemen, in this chat, we better get 1,000 likes. We better get him to 100,000 subs. But Andrew is talking to Andrew is such a breath of fresh air, because did you take finance undergrad or MBA?
So no. I have 3 degrees. I have a bachelor's, a master's, and a JD. My master's is in public administration, so I had to study GAAP, which is why I said I'm rusty on my GAAP.
That's
which
why
is government accounting principles.
Balance.
Yep.
Yes. I understand fund balance. I understand accounting, but now it's different in government versus private, right? Because government has to be zero-based. You have to zero out every year. Corporations can run at a loss.
Unless you're Disney with Rita Creek.
Yeah, exactly. With Rita Creek with their shady budgeting. But that being said, I took that, so I have a background in governmental budgeting and accounting, and I was going into that, and then the financial crisis happened, the GFC, the housing crisis. So I had to leave that, and I eventually ended up working on an annexation. I ended up doing quasi-legal work. It was kind of on the edge, and I said, I like this, and this is real estate. I love property. I want to do this as part of the law. I don't want to be a dog chaser or whatever else, or go prosecute suspended licenses or pot charges. I want to do really complicated real estate shit, and that's what I ended up doing, and I love it. It's great.
And no, Mike's right. I mean, it's amazing. He and I that work in the finance world, the accounting world, the numbers world, it's very rare to meet attorneys that are so well versed in the numbers side. And I don't say that as an insult. I love my
but it's
attorney
true
clients.
Though. We can't add.
No, we can't. Here's the thing. I love my attorneys to death. And I love the ones, that either understand, and this goes for physicians too. They're right up there with attorneys. They're brilliant people, but most of them don't know numbers. But I love working with the ones that know that they don't know numbers, or the ones that are extremely rare, like you, that actually really understand numbers. And we can have these conversations at a professional level. And this is what I love. This is why I love Mike. This is why Mike and I get along so well. This is why you and I get along so well. And this is why I love this show. And everybody, please, for the love of God, we're less than 200 away from 1,000 likes. I mean,
we could get there. We can
make that happen. I just
there.
sent the share out on community YouTube for my channel. So I'm hoping that my people are starting to show up now. I sent it out on Twitter earlier, so please hit the share button too for everybody watching out there. We appreciate you being here.
No, but I really appreciate working with you guys, and it's been really fun on this. And honestly, I'd say, as a person who's worked in government and in-house with corporations, it's all about the numbers in business, and law is there as a component of that. These things work together, and that's why when you view this thing, it's so crazy how Disney has been able to hide their numbers and hide their financial failures by putting out this fugazi about the lawsuit, about discrimination. Like, they've been able to blow this out like chaff, like there's a missile on them, like it's Top Gun, right? And they're shooting out all the chaff. They're doing all these distractions to keep their failures hidden, to keep the fact that they're broke. Their financial statements.
They ought to put in a disclosure in here, Andrew, that they have no idea how to produce movies that make money.
I mean, you guys talk about The Little Mermaid. I mean, that thing, is officially done and cooked. I mean, that's sashimi at this point, right?
Yeah, Sony's Miles Morales Across the Spider-Verse is about to just piss all over Disney's parade. I mean, here in the next 3 days. And people are going to go like, well, okay, well, that movie only did 150 million in its opening weekend. Very similar to The Little Mermaid. The difference is, of course, Disney spent $250 million to produce Little Mermaid, and Sony spent $100 million for the Spider-Verse movie. See, that's what's called financial reality, folks. That's a difference of I mean, that's an ROI issue, and that's the big thing. And Disney right now has got to really be looking in the mirror. And of course, they'll never say this publicly, but they know that there are problems, and especially coming up with the Hulu deal in 6 months. At this point, that's going to be a real problem.
And this is the thing that none of the shill media is talking about. They're all talking about, oh well, they pulled out of these deals because it was Ron DeSantis, right? None of them are pointing out they pulled out this because they don't have the money. Like none of them have done that work to say, wait a second, why aren't they spending this money here? Oh, because they don't even have 200 million to put into Lake Nona. They don't have that money. Because by the way, that project was going to be 2/3 subsidized by the state subsidies. This wasn't going to be something they were going to pay for in the first place. It was going to be entirely
Andrew.
subsidized.
All
so
that was
pulled. To come up with 200 million.
All of that was pulled. That whole Lake Nona project, that $1 billion development, all that stuff, that was pulled to shore up the books because of this Hulu deal. Everything right now, Disney is doing the cost cuttings, all of this major pullback, the write-downs, the write-offs, jacking things away from Disney Plus and Hulu and all this. That's about devaluing Hulu. It's about writing down. It's about to shore up capital. Mike can speak to this more intelligently than I can. This is all about changing the books at this point to get them into a position to where they can, and this is what they're going to have to do, they're going to have to lever up hard to buy the put that Comcast is fixing to drop on their butt.
Yes.
I mean, they're going to have to hope and pray that this quarter ends with the parks and experiences doing amazing, and that they have probably the two of the best quarters in terms of cash and net profits and operating profits that they've ever had. And it's possible it could happen because what's the deal is that the fiscal year doesn't end in December, Andrew. It actually ends in September 30th for Disney.
Yes. Yep. Yes. And that's actually pretty standard for governments as well.
Right. And they've always had that first, so what they're trying to do is have the financials. We got to recall that what Disney's going to try to do is hope that by the time their financials in September 30th, and they have to go and do that next investor call, which will be scheduled in, when would that be? Late December? For that quarter, right?
Yes.
Mid to late December.
Oh, they usually do the end of the fiscal year report around the first to second week of November. So like last year, we got like the November 8th on election night kind of thing. November 8th, 2022. They threw that on to November 8th because they knew they were about to fire Bob Chapek, all that stuff.
Right.
They wanted to bury it on a news day that was going to be so consumed with national politics that people would forget anything Disney said within 6 minutes.
This is their strategy. Their strategy is to, whenever anything bad comes out, put out something else that just paints over. And they're honestly really good at it. I have to even give them like credit.
There's not much left they can use to paint over with. That's the problem.
Well, here's the thing. They're going to have to, when those financials close September 30th and that investor call happens that first or second week in November, that investor call is going to drive that window of what happens 45 to 60 days later, which is they're going to have to write a check for Hulu for anywhere from 9 to 12 billion on the low side to 15 to 22 billion on the inside.
Billion.
And so that's why we've got to close the Galactic Star Cruiser, take a tax write down. They got to reduce taxes to free up cash, and they got to hope they have the next 6 months and parks and experiences are better than ever. What I am going to say to your channel watchers, Andrew, is that if there ever was a time that you need to do what Andrew said and keep those dollars off of the Disney pockets, it's right now in the next 6 months. This is your first, best, maybe even last chance to get them to change course. Every dollar, no Disney Plus. Every movie, no movies. Everything across the board. You know, you're planning to cruise with the family. You know,
Nope.
go to Carnival. Don't go to Disney cruises. And I know they do a great. Everybody's been on a Disney cruise. Tell me they're the most amazing experiences.
That's fine. If
But
you
everything
really want to
across
do it
the
later.
board. Disney Vacation. You covered that in one of your videos, Andrew.
BBC.
Everything has to come off the table.
Yep.
You got to slide this thing. We got to basically take this and say, if you want the company that you once fell in love with, that was called Disney, that family experience, you know, the whole thing. Now is the time. We have 6 months to basically force this company, and the only way to do it is to get them more accounts.
Let's Bud Light them. Let's target them. We can do it. It's actually, we see it. It's working. It's working. Yeah. You know, it's absolutely 100% working with those corporations, and it will work with Disney too. They're not too big to fail. That is hubris. That is ignorance to say they're too big to fail, that they're immune to that. They're absolutely not. They've become entitled, right? Which is what happens with amongst those folks. Now, this video has been a clip of a previous live stream, and it's clipped so you can get the information in a shorter, compact package, the information you need. If you want the full video, the whole context, the whole thing, you can check out the full stream. That is in the link below. Check that out, and I will catch you guys later. Peace.